What's up, everyone? How's it going out there? It is draft eve, Jim, so we've got to go big. We're at Fatty Beer Company again. Gonna have an extravaganza number three in about an hour. So if you're in Western New York, you're looking to do something tonight, Wednesday, and you're catching the live stream, come on down, Orchard Park. We're gonna be here until when? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
People can hang as long as they want.
Talk draft, talk Bills.
Share some old scouting stories.
Always up for that. Always up for that, especially when it's not on the pod.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. There's
So if there are certain questions that somebody may want to ask, might be the night to do it.
What was it? 3 years ago, you had your Mount Rushmore of shitheads.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, we have one. Okay. We have one.
It's adjusting this year.
Yes, we have one that is coming in hot.
Yeah.
Now Mount Rushmore, you have to earn your worthiness either way, good or bad. Our head coach from the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
So you're putting this on the record. You're just gonna.
Is on my radar.
He's on the radar. He's not there yet.
But we need to pay close attention. So honestly, when Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, that's when our whole draft thing, we were laughing a little bit about celebrating, and I thought that I like the way they're getting after. They're attacking the personnel. I like the way they play football. They bought into the head coach. That's why I say
that was a very worthy fist bump. Panay Sewell has worked out.
It's worked out.
I know it's right. It's the right side, but
good player.
Emblematic of the larger plan in Detroit.
Yeah. When you don't bust, it helps. Yeah. Could he be Joe Thomas? Where this is going to be the issue. Where it doesn't matter how good you are as a tackle. If that team can't get the right guy and plays at quarterback, you're wasting. But that's not. That was the right. It was the player was a good player, good pick. So anyway,
but to make the Mount Rushmore, you usually have a story from like 20 years ago.
Yeah, so the one so this is why he's on the radar is he came out and said that the Philly press was tough on him and about should he should he blitz more? He was questioned by Philly. He gave out a certain game, and Warren Sharp, a guy I follow on Twitter because he's analytical. They went back and found the press conference he was talking. The guy made it all up. Like nothing he said was factual. No fact check. The fact checking didn't work. And he reminds me of the brother. This is dating myself, but there was an old movie in the Weird Science, and the guy's name was Chet, and he has that buzz cut, or losing your hair, however you want to phrase it, buzz cut / don't know what to do because you're losing your hair. He looks like that guy a little bit. You're gonna look him up, Chet from Weird Science. If you're looking him up. But he reminded me of him, and that's not a guy. He wasn't a character that anybody really liked. Yeah. So he's just off to a bad start for me but he's on a good start for the Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. Was Howie on that, Roseman?
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I mean, you can explore.
He's not on it. He's not on it.
He may have been discussed on the live Zoom 2 years ago that didn't make it.
But he's on it for sure. The Arizona coach is on the radar for sure.
He's on the radar. Yeah, I didn't catch that. I just feel like the Arizona Cardinals as an organization, they have so many a lot of other things going on. Not even on the football side, right. But from the owner on down, they've got a lot of issues there that we could probably spend a whole year of podcast talking about, and we may or may not have to dig into that situation very long.
I mean, they've had a lot of it's interesting. Steve Kime I guess he's going to be doing some draft coverage for Fox. I read. He's in the media a lot recently, and I haven't seen Steve in the media much, so I figured he must have been, getting ready for this, making his comeback or whatever he's trying to do. But there's no better interviews. I want to see how honest he is if he is on here, because how many guys get to keep their jobs whiffing that much, that high? And I know, Steven, I'm not saying, look, we all whiff, but like critical top, like quarterback whiff, head coach whiff, we talked about before, but that somebody needs it. I want to hear Steve's answers. Like,
he might be fantastic in the media because I would think
Steve's good.
Well, I just mean he's so preconditioned to do and say pretty much whatever he wants with impunity right? I mean, when you have the drafts that Steve Keim has had as a general manager, and you get extensions instead of pink slips, that comes with a certain sense of, I'm just going to be honest, I'm going to be truthful. George Costanza at the office, right? Just kind of getting out. What did he get all over the Babe Ruth jersey?
When he ruined it. Yeah.
Got the cheese it or whatever.
Cheese all the, yep. Just
driving around with the trophy in the parking lot.
Yeah, just
that's kind of Steve Keim. Only he kept his job just like George did. You can see Michael Bidwell saying, "All right, Steve, well done."
But anyway, it is
no
Steve,
transition out of that.
Well, no, I'm thinking about. I just really now I want to. I mean, I feel like we should reach out to Steve. It's weird. I act like I couldn't. I mean, I know.
Let's bring him on. Let's hear some stories.
Worth a try.
But people didn't tune in to hear us pontificate about one of the worst GMs running a team.
No, we were more talking about the on the radar.
Right. I think we want to get into the Buffalo Bills. We really haven't talked a lot about the local team on the pod up to the draft nearly as much as we should. I mean, this is a team, obviously, that's been picking at the end of the round for a while now,
Where you want to be.
Where you want to be. And this is when it gets more difficult. You start losing players. It's harder to keep players. You need your draft picks to be core, foundational starters on your team. And Josh Allen, Dawson Knox, I believe, are the only two players that Brandon Beane drafted who have gotten second contracts. They did extend some players that were in your last draft with Doug Whaley and Sean McDermott. Deion Dawkins, Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White have become core starters on the team, obviously. But they've got a hit, and I think that the debate now is, okay, do you think offense, weapons, or do you think need defense? Sean's calling the plays. Sean's running the defense. Sean needs a green dot, right? He needs somebody in the middle of that defense who knows what they're doing, that he can trust. Tremaine Edmonds, I would think, was probably a source of great debate within the organization, really. I would love to be a fly on the wall. With Beane and McDermott talking about his value, his work for the team. To me, this is the head coach probably wanting to challenge the defense to get better at that spot, and I think McDermott would be right. We've talked about Tremaine Edmonds a lot on this podcast. He is what he is. 6'5", 250. He's basically this huge TP dropped into the middle of the defense that's taken away passing lanes, and you got to give him that. Like, he does a lot that doesn't necessarily meet the naked eye, right? Because he's not making a lot of big plays.
Not that that's the splashy,
But they get into these playoff games, and he gets bowled over. Cincinnati was ugly for both him and Ed Oliver. So that's an argument there. And if you read Bob McGinn's linebacker story, Jack Campbell is about as good as it gets in the modern NFL at inside linebacker in terms of being both big and fast, smart, from Iowa, a lot of intangibles, one scout compared to Brian Urlacher. I would think that that's probably a player that Sean McDermott wants, especially if he's got some wrestling in his background, which who knows there. I have no idea. You know where I stand on this, though, Jim. Enough. This isn't a Boogie Basham away from Super Bowl contention situation. Like, they've taken the D linemen. They've taken the corners. Kyer Elam was the first rounder last year. There are needs. I mean, they could take a linebacker. They could take a corner. To get a cost-controlled receiver for 5 years in this offense, they haven't done it. The highest receiver they've drafted is Gabe Davis in the 4th round. He's outperformed that drafts for where he was drafted.
One of their best picks.
Totally. I'm not a Gabe Davis hater. I think he's going to. He still has a shot to be a rising star in the league.
Right. No. Yes, I agree.
But you got to keep adding weapons. Like, that's what the best teams do. You just got to keep stockpiling. And then this draft, you look at it. There isn't a Jalen Waddle. There isn't a Devontae Smith. Right. There's not that stud at the top that is, oh my God, this is a top 5, top 10 pick. But there are a lot of receivers. They'll get drafted in the middle of the round. There could be a run. Even if there is a run, I feel like they're going to have an opportunity at somebody where they're picking. And if you really wanted to get creative, why not a trade? Right? I get it. You've got to address a lot of positions in this draft. Why not move up for Zay Flowers?
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Love Zay Flowers. I think that they should all be on board. We're going to find out tomorrow night. Tonight, if you're listening on Thursday, we're going to find out organizationally where they stand, because I think that there probably are going to be riots with another defensive and some corners fan base to take another defensive player.
Oh, I like that. So, okay, they're picking, are they 20, what, 7? Is it that in that range?
27. Let me just pull it up.
Okay. Where I'm going with that, it's close enough. It's in that range. So, from the Bills' standpoint, unless there's a player, to your point, like a Zay Flowers, somebody they have on their board at a position that they value and they value the player, both those scenarios have to work. The value of the position and the player have to match to go up and get him. And then you need somebody that's going to be willing to do it with you. So they'll know how high they would have to go to get whoever the player would be. But at 27, you can't. Going up, you can target. 27, you got to hit the pick. You know, it's a boring answer for me. It's standard press conference answer.
Oh.
Best player available. Tyler, you have to do it at 27. Can I give you some Saints examples?
Yes.
Of 27 when I was working there. So we had the 27th pick in 2007, drafted Robert Meacham from Tennessee that year, led our team in touchdowns. We were picking after the Super Bowl, obviously, we picked 32. We took Patrick Robinson, played forever, corner, starter. So starter, 24, 28. We got Cam Jordan and Mark Ingram. Wow. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back. Ryan Pace, Terry Fontenot, who are the pro scouting department, who are running the Falcons now, one of our new favorite teams because we're betting on them. But anyway,
you lumped me into there.
You brought them to life though. I like that.
I like the Falcons. No, I like the Falcons. I'm just done with gambling. I'm done.
Good for you. Well, we'll get into that later.
Famous last words.
Okay, but my point is, man, you can get good players if you're doing it the right way. You know, so you have the quarterback. Now, like I said, unless there's a guy that you're like difference maker, corner, pass rusher, receiver, somebody's going to get in the end zone, I'm for that. Go ahead and go up and get that. Those are the different makers at positions I would go for. Now, you were talking about the Iowa linebacker, that type of guy that Sean McDermott had with the Eagles, Jeremiah Trotter, when I was there with Sean, started out in Philly way back, the old school hammer.
He was old school even for his day. They were saying he was old school.
No, he was good because he was.
There was a Jeremiah Trotter reference in Bob's story, I believe.
So, point being, yes, Luke Kuechly. And did he see Edmonds' style does not match Kuechly Trotter. You know, Milano's not that size to be that guy. They're not asking him to do that. Sean is used to missile launcher, I call him at linebacker. Like, I'm taking on, I'm instinctive, I'm making plays, I'm big, physical, fast, all that.
All right, I want to get into these receivers. Before I do that.
Which I like your thought, on the playmaker thing too.
Yeah,
I'm always in for guys who can score.
I'm tired of looking at a need and plugging a need on defense. He's had 5 years to build up the defense he wants. It's been good. No, that's not a slight. It's been very good, but it hasn't been Super Bowl level.
Sure.
I think they have to think. This goes back to that thinking in terms of outscoring the other team, going for it on fourth down, not taking your foot off the gas. It needs to be reflected in your play calling.
I like that.
When it's 4th and 2, and it needs to be reflected Thursday night, round 1 of the NFL draft, when you've got a choice between a linebacker we can plug in or another weapon for Josh Allen. Everybody needs to be on that same page.
Fair enough. Last 2 playoffs, you couldn't stop a team with 13 seconds. Granted, Patrick Mahomes, but 13 seconds. And then last year, we all saw it. You weren't slowing them down. So that's 2 years now. You're getting bounced. That's the defensive side. So Now, I'm not blaming anybody on that. I'm just saying I think it's wide open at 27.
I hear before we get into those receivers though,
Go ahead.
and I'm not going to allow any sanitized BS answer to this shit. Not allowed. So,
do I usually say it?
no, not at all. Well, that's why I can't wait for your answer.
I
Not
don't
at
know
all.
how-
No, I keep it real. That's
This is good. This is good.
So back on the Packers beat, Ted Thompson never said anything really in his pre-draft press conference. It was almost a joke. Like he'd even make some jokes. He's like, I remember one time he said, I could be like opposite George, not to make another Costanza reference, and just tell you the opposite of everything I'm thinking. And he even said at one point, now when somebody does say something, is it a fake or is it a fake on a fake? And that's what they really think. But one thing that Ted did say more than once was, I'll never forget it, for as much as he didn't want anybody to know how they came to their draft picks, right? He keeps everything in house to like nuclear codes, proportions. He said, "I'm making the pick at the end of the day. Like it's his decision. So they're going to have deliberations. They're going to hear from the area scouts. You're going to hear from the scouting directors. You're going to hear from the coaching staff. Everybody has a voice, but one singular voice makes the pick, which seems obvious, right? Like somebody has to make the pick. Yet we hear it in Buffalo, not just Buffalo. You hear it across the NFL. Oh, this was a team pick. Everybody was on board. The team, the head coach and the GM, we came to this conclusion, it was collaborative. And that's nonsense, right? Somebody's making the pick. Because there's going to be arguments in the draft meetings, and then as that clock's ticking down. So, you've been in many different draft rooms. Who was making the pick in each draft room? And who do you think's making the pick in Buffalo's draft room right now?
Oh, I love easy answers.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
You said it best. One person. Everybody knows who's in charge.
So 2014 was your first one.
Doug Willie.
I like it.
Doug Willie was in charge.
So Marone obviously had a voice and was
Huge voice.
poo-pooing Khalil Mack.
Well, like we talked about, just didn't see a need to.
Right, we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty.
I don't want to go crazy on
But
that,
2014, Doug Whaley.
14, Whaley.
Okay.
Whaley was it. When I was in Buffalo with Whaley, Doug made the pick.
Even with Rex Ryan
Now,
in-house.
until 17, Sean McDermott had final say in that draft. Can tell you this. We've talked about it. There were no debates. It was a good team effort. Like great team effort. It really was. Top to bottom. Coaches, everybody worked on it, and that draft is honestly, I can't talk about that enough.
I think that probably blows people's minds.
But Sean had final say.
But it was a productive draft for all of you.
Well, that's why I'm not joke, but I do joke about like Steve Keim getting chances and other guys getting opportunities. We talked about, I'm friends with Ryan Pace, just talked to him the other day. It's like, hey, he got fired from the Bears, and we talked about what they did there, and he got a job the next day. But Willie and I we had a great last draft. Like, it wasn't like we didn't, we didn't go out because of performance. And that's the tough part sometimes. Anyway.
Were there any heated debates on those picks up as
17?
Yeah, it's as the clock's ticking down and you guys are sitting there together.
No, it was steady. It was smooth. Smooth. It really was. There was no. I'm trying to remember about. We went up to get Zay Jones. I'm trying to remember. Did we trade up
second round?
I feel like we ended up going. Yeah. No, he was in the debate in the first round at 27.
Tre'Davious White.
He was in the debate.
Sean was familiar with his coach.
We had him on the staff.
You had him on the staff. He was receiving.
Yeah, he was a receiver. And point being is, like I said, I told you, the scouts didn't view Zay as high as I like Zay. Coaches like Zay.
Looks great right now.
As far as this, when I say that, the scouts weren't thrilled about him necessarily at 27. And I tend to agree with them now, looking back. Where I would have been okay with that. I like Trey White much better. compared to Zay Jones. So I that one, I'm not gonna lie, that one, I remember just wanting Sean to be like, come on now, let's get this corner. He was straight junkyard dog. That Trey is what Trey. I mean, this is we knew that was a hit pick.
What I'm getting to is
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
McDermott then relieves of duties. Don't you love that phrasing?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah. Mutual parting ways. Whenever a team puts out like we mutually parted ways, they should also be required to put a comical GIF of like whoever's doing the firing, whoever's getting fired, like dancing and then sashaying opposite directions.
It's so pretty. It's so fun.
Oh, everybody's in agreement here. Oh, it's so beautiful and fun. I'm sure that's how it went down.
That's out of a movie how it went down. I mean, as far as coming in, knowing there was a chance, seeing the Pagula security, the SUV, and like, whoop, they're not supposed to be here. It's going down. Coming in 5 minutes. Rainy, you're just like dead man walking into the building. Like Doug and I basically shook our hands. All right, man, this was fun. Doug went in, 5 minutes later, I got the text. I was in with all the scouts, and that's how it goes down. Just like that. Day after, you think you might have just, that you felt good about the draft and the off season. It happens. And we were prepared for it. I mean, it wasn't like we were blindsided. I would say it was a little bit. Here's the urban myth, I guess you would say, that I want to know. It'd be Gutekunst. There's a myth going around. He was in the building, like interviewing
Gutekunst.
Yeah.
Gutekunst was up for the GM job.
I know. He interviewed.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm told it may have even been like during the draft. Like, yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Not like during it, but like the week of.
It is wild. I mean,
because I think it was leading up. I think they obviously knew they were going to make the move. If there was a chance they could get an interview in, that way they could act on it right after the draft, because if they were going to have to fight to get Brandon Beane out of Carolina, which they had to do. And then if they lost that battle, then Gutekunst, they would have gone after Gutekunst.
And it's the Andy Reid model. The head coach is handpicking his general manager. So I think so many football fans, understandably so, are under that old school logic of whoever's the GM is having that final say, is making that decision on a pick. It's not really all the case. I mean, I think it's important to remind people Sean hired Brandon Beane. Mm-hmm. So we hear that everything is collaborative. That's what you're going to hear with all 32 teams, and I'm sure it is.
I'm sure, yeah.
But somebody's making that pick.
Yes.
And on all of these first rounds, it's a defensive player for a defensive-minded head coach. I think Brandon Beane needs to, in these draft meetings, which have concluded, right? The draft is Thursday. Look, enough's enough. I know you brought me in, like I'm your handpicked guy, but we need offense. Josh Allen isn't going to last forever.
The $1 million question is: we know Sean has final say, and Sean is making these picks. So especially anything hot, Sean's making these picks now. When it gets into the certain rounds, there's a good chance Sean turns that over to Brandon. I mean, Doug Whaley's turned it over to me before in the 7th round, and hey, go ahead and do it. So, and I'm sure Sean does that because to a point, Sean's going to be heavily involved in that pick. He's going to be heavily involved. I'm not saying he's not, hey, go ahead, let me know who it is. He's going to know the player and everything about him. I'm just saying he might listen to Brandon or let Brandon have a little more say on those guys. But the first round is Sean. So the $1 million question, the inside info that we need is did Brandon Beane agree with Edmonds, agree with Ed Oliver, agree with go through all those high picks.
Boy, everybody loved Ed Oliver. We know that.
So you would think. I don't think Sean would I couldn't see Sean going too much against Brandon in the first round. Like if Brandon was against somebody like Ed Oliver, I think Sean would respect that. But I don't know that. That's the stuff we don't know. We're just guessing. But those are the questions only they know in the building. where Brandon Beane stood on it. Sean's making those picks. Did Beane agree? I would think, yeah, probably.
Honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase is over. It's probably that's the lead here. It's at this point,
it's time.
There's pressure on the Bills to hit on these picks because I don't think you can look at their drafts and say these are unmitigated disasters. They're not.
No,
they found good players.
Right, I think so too.
Even Gregory Rousseau.
Yeah, good player.
He's got a shot to really take a big step this year. Gabe Davis. Kyrie Leno is an unknown. But Basham unknown. AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver.
You know,
you get to the middle rounds, the late round picks. It heightens the urgency on this draft, especially post free agency when they financially. It's not like they can just cut checks left and right. Von Miller's injury, you don't know when you're getting him back. You need impact players in this draft. So let's look at receiver, Joe. Let's take a look here. As I pull it up here,
I still don't think it has to be. I'm not against it. You do have Stephon Diggs.
Do you? He seems unhappy, Jim.
I mean, that's why to me, they're in a good spot. I don't feel like they have to. But if they do go up, that means they value that guy a ton. Like,
I think you're
like whoever it is, I respect that. If they went up and get whoever it is, receiver, corner, whatever it is, they go up and get. I'm like, that guy, they love that guy.
No, they let Isaiah McKenzie leave.
Yeah.
You need to find a slot type of receiver for this offense. Is it, I think Deontay Hardy he can play outside, he can play inside. He's going to help you in the return game.
Him.
He's going to do a lot.
Yeah.
Trent Sherfield, we told his story.
Yeah, like him.
Put it out here on the podcast feed. There's a lot to like there because he just hasn't really gotten many opportunities. I think that type of body, though. So Zay Flowers, 5'9", 182, 4.3 speed. So it's so funny reading these scouts.
I know, don't you see when you read them? I love it because I can picture me either probably at some point in my life typing the exact same thing about somebody.
Yeah, because I think Bob is getting the good, the bad, and the ugly in this series, and there's a lot of ugly. And it's hard for a lot of fans to digest because we're so conditioned to expect the flowery glass half full. No, the glass is overflowing with every prospect.
Everybody.
This time last year, Malik Willis was going to be a transcendent force at quarterback. So, I mean, you can pull up ESPN, NFL Network, most coverage. You're not getting this stuff. You're not every prospect is going to be in camp, right? A lot of these guys aren't going to work out. In fact, guess what? Most of them aren't going to.
But that's what's good about Bob is giving you what the scout. These are NFL scouts. These aren't Mel Kiper's opinion on the player, or Todd McShay's opinion on the player. Now Bob will do his opinion, but a lot of this is really good info. It gives you a lot of the bad, and it might be okay. Now you can see why a guy may fail. Hey, they're giving you his weaknesses, things to pay attention to.
And there's a lot of. This isn't a shot at everybody who covers the draft because Dave Brugler is incredible.
Oh, there's a ton of guys.
Kiper, McShay,
they're great.
Matt Miller, all these guys. I'm just saying that overall, the draft industrial complex is kind of in a straitjacket of paranoia, corporate paranoia, where they're really scared to put out negative reports on players publicly because an agent's going to get pissed off, and then that's going to have ramifications.
Yeah, then they won't get the story. They won't talk to you.
It's going to look bad on the network. It's going to look bad on this and that. So when Bob is talking to these scouts, and they're giving you the real, they're giving you the raw, it stuns a lot of people. They don't know how to take it. It's different. This is how they talk. You read the comments, the way that these scouts are talking. I think I've seen the word "some bitch," SUMBIT. I think I've seen that about a dozen times, but this is how the NFL is viewing a lot of these guys. So, all right, you look at some of these receivers, Zay Flowers. Here's a scout. He loves the game of football. He understands his limitations. He's competitive. He does have concentration. He does have hands, and he knows how to run after the catch. He was down to 160 at the end of the season. This is another scout. Doesn't play big. He's really a good kid, but his family's a drain on him. He doesn't always do what he's supposed to do. He loves football, but he's a guy you have to keep there year-round. Dynamic speed, explosive after the catch. So, I mean, it's a lot of back and forth, a lot of pros and cons on all these guys. I guess I don't want to get caught up into X receiver versus slot receiver. Just give me a receiver. Give me a Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. Gosh, watching that Alabama game, he was unbelievable. Josh Downs out of North Carolina. That's another slot option. 5'9", 4.41 speed. Good athlete, good instincts, change of direction, speed. This is another scout. There's all the things you look for. But he's little. You've got to get past his size. Just give me a weapon, because I feel like this offense, this quarterback's going to make whoever you take that much better.
Mm-hmm. Hit the pick. I'm good with just hit the pick. I don't care if it's defense. I'm good on that too. I just, they got to hit. And then, like I said, their track record's good. It's almost not great in the first round, would you say? Take Josh out. I mean, count Josh. That's your home run. You
Pull it up.
Yeah, pull it off. Because Edmonds was a good pick. I don't think he would necessarily, you would say he was worth what they invested. If you judge it, but it wasn't a terrible pick.
He didn't get to the second contract though. That pick didn't work out.
No, it's not I wouldn't say it's a great pick. I can't say horrible. Like, you know what I'm saying? They got good play.
Yeah, that's a little harsh. Because
yeah, they got good play.
He got 5 years of good football.
He was like
for the trade up to
starter.
Acquire him.
Fair enough, but he was a starter on one of the top defenses in the NFL.
I think why people are harsh is when he was drafted. What was the conversation? He's only 20.
We had to hear that. We still may hear.
All right, so here are their drafts.
It was every time.
So let's start in 2018.
So,
okay,
that was their first one.
I'm gonna rattle off the names and you tell me what you think.
Well, you want to do the whole draft? Okay, I'll see.
Just real quick, a rapid fire. 2018. Josh Allen at 7, Tremaine Edmonds at 16, Harrison Phillips at 96, Teron Johnson 121, Saran Neal 154, Wyatt Teller 166, Ray McLeod 187, Austin Grove 255. Austin Grove, XFL baby.
Oh, I feel for Austin Grove. His team didn't make the playoffs. 7-3. That's a little touchy subject. Touchy subject. The rules are tough.
Obviously, Josh Allen makes this draft.
Yeah, that's a really good draft, though, I think. I think they got that with Teron Johnson.
Wyatt Teller, though, possibly a top 3 guard in football.
To be honest, that's big time draft.
Good trade. You didn't see that one through.
Good draft.
Okay, this is when things start to get
18's good. Yep, 18 was good.
19, Ed Oliver, 9th. Cody Ford at 38, famously over DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin.
Keep going.
Devin Singletary at 74. Dawson Knox at 96 is a hit, obviously.
Great pick.
20 touchdowns.
No, great pick.
Is it Voshan Joseph?
Yep.
I mean, he didn't play it down. I mean, that's a 5th-round pick. He didn't play it down.
I'm counting right here. So.
Jaquan Johnson, Daryl Johnson, DN, Thomas Stewart.
So that would say new. 18 good, 19 bad. Yeah,
really
good,
bad. Really bad.
Really bad.
All right, let's move to 2020. AJ Epinesa, 54th overall. 9 career sacks to this point.
Yeah, I don't see it. Just a guy.
We kind of know what he is at this point, right?
He's just a guy.
You're talking 3 full seasons of seeing what you have in him.
Yeah, I agree.
He is a backup, rotational.
Find him anywhere. I hate to say it.
Right, you can.
I'm
right now, there's free agents out there.
You can find him.
Yes. Your 3rd round pick, Zach Moss at 86 overall. He's not on the team anymore.
No. Just
got in and out of the doghouse.
Yeah, they took Singletary and Moss too high to me. They didn't have a skill set that separated themselves as running backs to take them in the 3rd round. You can find their skill sets later. Those aren't good picks.
Gabriel Davis, a hit. 128.
Great pick.
Jake Fromm, 5th-round quarterback. Now, if you're backed up in your own territory and you need a quarterback sneak, I'm turning to Fromm. I don't know about you.
I forgot he was drafted.
Legendary play in Giants history.
Legendary. That's going to be a trivia question. Who was the Who was the quarterback for the legendary?
What I love about that play is like in the moment, Daryl Johnston, the color commentator, like so many of these color guys, they don't say anything. Like they don't criticize anybody. It's just all milk toast. Death. In the moment, like he calls it out. Like this is nonsense. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like everybody realized it was crazy except for the person who made the decision on Joe Jones. All right, Tyler Bass, you got your kicker in the sixth round. Isaiah Hodgins.
So that draft's
207.
That's a good
Dane Jackson, 239.
That's a good draft, man. That's a good draft. I'm not great,
but that's where the management of your picks, like they Hodgins, Teller.
No, they're not. They're not gay. They're drafting.
These are
correctly.
really good players.
They're drafting correctly,
and they developed.
And they're not getting the.
They go to other teams.
They're not. Yeah, that's interesting.
I look at 2021. Like we said, Gregory Rousseau.
That's good.
I think there's still a lot of hope there. We're going to see.
Where they took him. Talking about a pass rusher that big. That's good. I like that.
Benefited from Von Miller. So
yeah, good point.
Not the same player without him. He's going to have to be the guy. Boogie Basham has not worked out so far in the second round. Spencer Brown in the third round. They might be finding a new tackle.
He struggles.
Tommy Doyle, Marquez Stevenson, Damar Hamlin, sixth round. He's back. They also bring back Jordan Poyer, so there's not the pressure on another safety. But you're probably going to need to bring it back to football with Damar Hamlin. It's so weird to talk about football.
It is crazy. I know.
They do need him to take a step, though, this year, and he did some good things as a player. Rashad Wildgoose, Jack Anderson, nothing there. And then this past year, Kyer Elam, James Cook, Terrell Bernard, Khalil Shakir. Forget about Khalil Shakir. Matt Arisen didn't work out at punter. Didn't work out there. Christian Benford at DB, Luke Tenuta, and Valen Spector. So it's I would say C minus. C.
Oh.
C. Since the Josh Allen.
Okay. I was gonna say, doesn't he automatically? Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's not over. It's like I'd probably go a little bit better than that. I think you're saying take Josh out of it,
which is kind of a dumb qualifier, right?
I don't. It's not fair. I think they're drafting pretty well. Now that you put it like that, they're doing a good job. They're not great at the top, the first round. The Oliver, they're not getting the value out of the Edmonds Oliver.
That's a really good point. They have drafted pretty well.
Their drafts are good.
I'm surprised when we really look at it.
When you read those, I turned my tune. I was like, those are good. They did a nice job.
But it's the top of the draft. That's to your point with the Saints.
Yeah,
when
that's
you were listing off Cam Jordan, Mark.
Yeah, those were in the 20s.
Yeah,
like these were top. I'm being harsher on Ed Oliver and Edmonds because of where they were picked.
I think that's why you want to keep this pick. There's a lot of talk about potentially trading down. I think you keep the pick.
That was my
or
point.
Maybe even move up.
Well, that was my whole thing though with those picks of the Saints. You can hit. You can hit in the 20s.
All right, so Buffalo moved up to get Josh Allen in large part because they had Cordy Glenn. To me, Ed Oliver could be Cordy Glenn. I mean, the ship has probably sailed on this conversation because the draft is now. But is there a player on the roster that you can kind of package to move up to get a player early, to get in that conversation with the top receivers, right? Jackson Smith-Njigba, Zay Flowers. If you really want to ensure you can get the first or second receiver on your board, is it worth? See you, Ed.
Not for me. Not with Stephon Diggs at that position. I'm sorry. Unless they know something about Diggs, I would not go up for a receiver. You've invested. You're good there.
Should they be worried about Diggs?
We don't know. Diggs is. I mean, yeah. I mean, right. I mean,
strange.
He's right. He's a little. There's always an unknown with him. I think.
I used to laugh when these players would just tweet emojis and
Yeah.
unfollow and refollow and do things on Instagram. And I'll never go on TikTok. Please, as I said on this before, if I ever create a TikTok, come to Fatty Beer Company in Orchard Park and put me out of my misery. Just, it's over at that point. I don't know what's going on there. But I used to look at the stuff the athletes were doing and be an old man yelling at a cloud, or not even that, just almost roll my eyes. Like, this is dumb. It kind of means something now. This is the way that these players are trying to, I guess, let us know what they think, let the teams know how they feel, find leverage in a sport that unfortunately doesn't give players a lot of leverage with their contracts. And Diggs has done a lot of that stuff. It's been weird. Yet he's also talking to DeAndre Hopkins in a way that makes it seem like they want to be teammates, or are they trading for DeAndre Hopkins? Diggs is going to Diggs, as Josh Allen said. If he doesn't show up for OTAs, and if he doesn't show up for minicamps when we start to get fined, then it's probably time to worry or think something's up. I don't think we're there yet. But he's clearly unhappy to a degree. My thing with Diggs is, what's the source of the unhappiness? If his unhappiness is, I'm sick and tired of us losing in the playoffs, this is getting old, I'm tired of us acting like this 1974 football team on 4th and 2, and it's the same stuff happening all the time. And as Taiwan Jones told us, everybody had that deer in the headlights look, and we were just going through the motions. If Diggs is pissed about all that, sign me up. Everybody should be like Diggs. Everybody should realize this Super Bowl opportunity doesn't last forever, and go for it. If it's money or role or relationship stuff, with who knows what's going on behind the scenes, then it gets a little more complicated. Then you start to get a little worried about, is the Minnesota stuff kind of lingering here? But I think it's the former, gut feeling. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to see. We'll see if he continues to miss stuff.
Sean, McDermott does not want distractions. That's number one. That's Andy Reid's rule. I mean, it's really every angle.
I kind of like distractions.
Yeah, coaches don't. So this Diggs thing, I honestly don't think it'll be a distraction. They'll get this figured out. They're okay there. Like I said, if they trade up for a receiver, that guy's probably going to be – I would assume that guy must be special, because I wouldn't see why you would do that based on how you've built your roster right now with Diggs and Josh Allen. So that guy must be good if they're going up for him. Now, I'm a big believer, just stay where you are right now. But they know more than I do. If they go up, that means something. That tells you that better be a hit.
Who is the player that was drafted right before you were going to pick? Keep to Buffalo, because you've been several places. That you just lost him. Oh my God, I wanted him so bad. You personally, right? Not the team necessarily. Not
just keep it to Buffalo or anywhere.
When you were the director of personnel for the Bills, and you're sitting there in the war room, you're seeing pick after pick after pick.
Just somebody that I just was like.
You love. You're like, I want him on this team so bad, and vanish.
Yeah, this is a fun one because there's a couple of guys that we, just you always fall in love with certain players. I can tell you one, Odell Beckham.
So this is a player you had the opportunity to draft.
Yeah,
it's not.
But I will say this.
You could have drafted him.
Sure, I will say this with Beckham. I understood. the concerns on the sides. All that. We came to a decision as a team. It wasn't that people didn't like Beckham, but I was all in on Beckham. I wasn't worried about it. So that was one I was like, during that whole season, that one always you sit there and watch him. But once again, I don't know what it would have been like for Beckham in Buffalo. I just don't know. Yeah. But that one I will always remember.
Who didn't like Beckham?
No, it was a lot of people. I mean, enough people that were decision makers were concerned about Beckham's size.
All right. You had dinner with him, right? At Giancarlo's?
He was not Giancarlo's. He was the steak. Where's our favorite steak that we talk about? It's why am I drawing a blank? Tempo.
Oh, I miss Tempo's revival.
Yeah, he couldn't take it down. No, he wanted to. He couldn't do it. He was tired. He was on that pro day circuit. He was worn out. He was going back to New Orleans. He was having like a party, down the way. He was doing his thing. But he's always won. That's
decided probably weeks before the draft.
No, we knew that. Yeah, we weren't going to take him. That's why we went out for Sammy. He was the consensus guy that we all agreed on.
I'll never forget Sports Illustrated story that came out. I don't remember who wrote it. Great story on Sammy Watkins. I mean, it wasn't even a debate. He was the consensus best receiver in the draft, with the best talents in the draft.
Yeah.
We'll need 3 more hours to talk about Sammy Watkins, but I totally understand. I'm not just saying that because we're sitting here. But
no, but I would say this, where we were like, yes, we all agreed. That was, when I say we, decision makers in Buffalo, we all felt good about Sam. Where it's wrong is he wasn't the best in his class. That was proven. And the gap on that class was loaded.
Yeah.
Which is why just stay put.
Stay put.
So lesson learned.
That's why I love Bob's series. It's like you get a sense for which positions are strong.
No doubt. I like that.
Which positions are weak. Like the cornerback group was really strong. Tight end. We didn't even talk. We spent an hour here. We didn't talk about tight end. Maybe they take a tight end.
Well, that's clear. Tight end could be a dynamic playmaker. I mean, they have a good one. Add a different one. That's great.
It's going to be fun, and it's 6 o'clock now, so we're probably going to have some Raiders trickling through. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. We greatly appreciate your support. I'm blown away this week, Jim. There's been so many new people signing up to get the draft coverage, and we hope you stick around. It means the world, so we're gonna keep it going here. Thanks so much. Lost track of time.
So do we. I know we were really talking. I know. I didn't realize it was that late either. So good. Yeah, they're watching.
Hey.